Hi, welcome back to the shop. Well, today we're going to go ahead and finish up the bridge shelf. To do that, first we're going to start by finishing the top of it. For that, I need to make a couple of cuts. We're going to cut out a panel for kind of a recessed area, and then we'll go ahead and drill the holes for installing the puck lights. And after that, we'll go ahead and finish assembling and do some sanding and put some finish on. Let's get started. To go ahead and make the hole in the top, I've gone ahead and made my layout lines, and then I'm just going to use a circular saw here, and I'll plunge in. I'll stay a little bit inside the lines just to make sure that I can trim it up later with a flush trim bit with the router. Now go ahead and finish cutting these out using a handsaw. The next thing we're going to do is install the lights. These are the lights that I purchased for this project. They actually match the color of the hardware that goes along with this. We're going to have two lights, like I mentioned, one at opposite ends, and we're going to drill some large holes that go through these. Now these are LED lights, so they're low voltage and low heat, which is exactly what I was looking for. If you get into the halogens and some of the other ones, they can be a lot hotter, and I didn't want that when I'm directly attaching them through the wood like this. To drill these holes, I need to put a 2 3/4 inch hole through the board. So the location of the hole is going to be approximately 8.5 inches up from the back, which roughly centers it in it, and about 10 inches in from each end. The hole is going to be 2 3/4 inch, like I said, and we're going to use this huge Forstner bit to do that. Now, normally I wouldn't recommend using a Forstner bit like this unless it was in a drill press. Unfortunately, I'm kind of in a bind and I can't do that here. I'm going to start off by putting in a little pilot hole that goes all the way through, and that will help me keep the bit where it needs to go. And now we just need to drill the big hole. You'll notice that I put some blue tape down around this to help kind of keep it from tearing up the edges. I'm just going to center it over the top and go real slow. Now you get an idea of what this project is starting to look like. The lights are actually on a dimmer, so I can make them brighter or run that down for effect depending on what's necessary. All we have left now is to attach the top, finish routing out for the compartment, and make a lid for that, and we should be ready to go for some finish. Before I attach the top and put that in place, I've gone ahead and run the wires so they'll be hidden inside of the shelf. I've also added some extra string on the end just so that I can manipulate the wire back and forth as I attach it, just in case I need to. I've also run string from the center holes out to the edge, and that's for the wire that will go underneath and come out to attach to the wall. I'm not sure what side the plug-in is on for this particular application, so I've gone ahead and done it on both corners. I can go ahead and glue the shelf in now, and then the next time I get over to my in-laws house, I'll be able to know where the outlet is, and then I can drill the hole, and that will happen before I do the finish work. Now that everything's been sanded to 150 grit and all the plugs have been trimmed, I used a flush trimming bit to clean out this central compartment. At this point I need to make a rabbet around the edge to receive the top. And the top is just a piece of 3/8 inch oak that I glued up a couple pieces together and planed it down to thickness. I'm going to make a 3/8 by 3/8 rabbet around the opening here, and to do that I've installed a 3/8 inch rabbeting bit in my router. I'm going to do this in a couple of passes. Now that I've finished making the rabbet, I'll go ahead and take some measurements and cut my top to size. Now that I have the lid cut to the rough size, I need to radius the corners so they match the radius of the rabbeting bit. And to do that, I'm just going to use a bottle stopper here that I found that was roughly the same size, and we'll just go ahead and make some marks. Now that I have the panel cut, I'll go ahead and drill a 3/4 inch hole in one end so that you'll be able to easily remove it. Well, we're in the home stretch now. Just going to do a little light sanding with some 220, and then we'll be ready to put some finish on this and do a final wrap-up. Now that we've finished this project, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the cuss jar. Now, I don't use foul language, but I know it happens sometimes in the heat of battle when you're out in the shop. Now, this is just a way of rating a project to identify how difficult it was. Overall, this project wasn't that difficult. However, there's 3 things that kind of frustrated me on it. First of all, the plywood that I bought from a big box store was a potato chip and was really difficult to get things to really lay flat. The red oak that I purchased from the same big box store was equally bad in that it had a lot of bind in it, so I couldn't even make a simple rip cut. And the third thing was just the amount of time it took to do this project. Over the last few months, it's been winter, so it's been cold, and my shop isn't heated or insulated, so I really couldn't work out here when the temperature was below 50 degrees. Also during that time, I think we had 6 birthdays, a couple of anniversaries, and a few holidays, not to mention spring break, that got in the way of my valuable shop time. So for those reasons, I'm going to go ahead and put 3/4 in the cuss jar. Someday I'll have enough money to buy my lovely wife something very nice. Or maybe a new tool. Well, until next time, feel free to email me with your comments, questions, or suggestions. And until then, keep it level, plumb, and square.